Hello and welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my price action analysis videos. Hope you're all well. Happy Monday to you. It's the start of the week and I hope yours has started in a very agreeable fashion. Let's hope it continues that way. Let's see what's happened to Bitcoin today. So this is the weekly and so far it's green. That's all I've got to say about that because it's only Monday. I'm on Bybit, right? So I'm going to actually, let's just check in with the weekly momentum too because we've had a closure. Ta-da! And look, I'm up here. Sorry about that. I'll move myself back down into a less annoying place. Oh, shouldn't do that too quickly, otherwise I give myself vertigo. Right, so here we are. Yes, it's edging its way ever closer to the zero line, this weekly momentum. And remember, I use the zero line as my pivot from momentum to the upside to momentum to the downside as the MACD crosses. And for those of you who don't know, the MACD is a combination of two EMAs. So it's one line, but it's basically a combination of two moving averages. But the good thing about it is it gives you momentum and direction. Much like a lot of indicators, like the Bollinger Band gives you, well, the Bollinger Band gives you volatility and direction. I like the MACD. I think it's cool. People probably poo-poo it, but it's dangerous to poo-poo things, I've found over the years. And what's interesting is this number's moved right up. So I did suggest that in yesterday's video. It's still not close enough for this to be significant. Not significant. It's still not close enough for me to take this as like a perfect assessment of the situation. But it's now up to 45,000, right? Which 45,000 is here. And as you may recall, so with the current rate of change, 45,000 would shift weekly momentum to the downside. And as you've heard from me before, this is a no-go zone, in my opinion, for bull run continuation in the kind of medium term when you're talking about a weekly time frame. So if Bitcoin was on a weekly time frame to, I don't know, let's say it just did this kind of thing, came down here, floated around a bit. Let's say it did that sort of thing. I'm not saying this is going to happen, it's just a guess, right? It's then quite a big shout to just bust on to new all-time highs. And I would suggest that would, be likely way into 2025. And then, you've got a long period of downside. It just doesn't look like a bull market at that point. It looks like a weird market. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just hypothesizing with you. So anyway, weekly momentum still to the upside in my opinion. And yeah, you could argue there's a weekly downtrend. Of course you could, but it's a bit vague. It's not the most convincing. And I think for it to be anything significant, then there needs to be a good range break, and that range to the upside is 74,000 on a weekly closure. And to the downside, you could argue a couple of different things. To the downside, probably a weekly closure below 55,000. Would that be a range break? Well, on a closure it would be, yes. But I would say a weekly closure below 49 puts a different spin on everything. So, I just thought that was interesting. That number had changed. And it's now going to continue falling unless Bitcoin can get back above 63. So who knows what will happen by the end of the week, because that's when there'll be another weekly closure. Moving swiftly on. Get rid of those. I really like the Gann high-low indicator, by the way. I don't know if any of you have read anything about sort of historical traders, but W.D. Gann's a pretty well written about guy, and he traded at I think it was the latter part, it was basically the beginning of the 20th century. I can't remember the dates exactly. Something makes me want to say the 20s mainly, but ignore that. That's probably incorrect. Anyway, he was around 100 years ago, call it, and he had profits that were way beyond other traders and investors at the time. And he did it all basically on timing, and he kind of researched his charts. In a way, he kind of gave birth to technical analysis, but without a computer. It was really quite remarkable. So he looked for patterns, and he made several points, including never ignore a double top on any time frame, which you've heard me say a few times. And he also, I think a lot of people don't like WD because a lot of his stuff revolves around time frames that may be something to do with planetary orbits. And I keep an open mind to everything because you never know what's influencing people. And, you know, I have to say I haven't researched or back-tested such a technique. But, you know, each to their own. And it clearly worked for him because he was the best of his time. So there you are. Anyway, Gann high-low just picks out the highs and lows and sticks a line on the chart. It's really good. You should check it out. Anyway, daily. It sounds like I'm doing an advert for Gann high low. It's freely available on TradingView. All right. So this is the daily time frame. I put this couple of blue lines on earlier on in the week. Yeah, I mean they're all right. I think. Whoa. Don't want that. Let's get that back. I think I was umming and ahhing of where to put this. Yeah, it's a bit more rigid if you put it up here. This is daily closures. You can see, so it's to be for daily closures, not wicks, in a similar way to that top line. And you can see it did bounce off that at 57 and change. Nice bounce today, I would say. It's a nice green candle. It's by no means fantastic. And much like the previous analysis I've alluded to, for me to submit to the loss of this daily uptrend, which I've nearly done, I would, well, what would make logical sense to me would be a bounce up somewhere towards 61, not close a weekly 62 and change, whatever it was on the weekly to shift the MACD back up, then get rejected, and then come back down like this. That would be a really technical move, because what that would create would be a lower high. There'd be a lower high on the daily, just like this is a lower high compared to this. This is a lower high compared to this sort of double top complex, whatever you want to call it. And then once it's down here, well, then you're setting yourself up for a lower low, you know. So that's very much a change in trend, or the etchings of a change in trend on the daily time frame. So it's not guaranteed at the moment. I think the next few days, I think the next week is key. It's always key, Simon. You're always saying next week's key. Yeah, I know. It's a bit like a broken record. But I think it certainly is. And I also think September's a key month, because traditionally the winter months tend to be more productive, as in see more upside, particularly with Bitcoin. But I think generally in risk on assets, although don't quote me on that one. I'll do some research into it to give it a bit more of a robust argument. But yeah, Bitcoin winters tend to be quite good, particularly Bitcoin winters in a bull run. So we got one of those coming up. But you know, September's a sort of funny in between period. The summer's gone, everyone's back to work, blah de blah. Oh, the summer hasn't gone. Don't say that, because I want it to last as long as possible. And of course, I'm referring to Northern Hemisphere. And so I think September is key, in as much as if Bitcoin seriously breaks down and starts invading into the $40,000 territory, it's a lot different. If Bitcoin can go basically sideways and maybe slightly down, and I would be so bold as to say defend 50k by the end of September, then I think that would look quite good then. I mean, it wouldn't be instant straight all-time new all-time highs, But I think there's a better chance then for maybe the rest of 2024 into the Q1 of 2025 to have continuation to the upside, i.e. propagate the bull run. Just my humble opinion, but it kind of makes sense. And feel free to disagree. I am open to all comments as long as they're not rude. Yeah, so 10 minutes in, crikey Moses. So yeah, that's fair enough. The momentum on the daily is still to the downside, and indeed it will continue falling. But it's within with a shout of getting a green close on the MACD here, and then approaching the zero line again, because it's only about sort of 500, 750 and 500, 750 away from current price action. I'll have a tiny look at the 4 hour, but I think it's pretty uninspiring. Look, oh yes, no, let's not even bother. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I hope you've enjoyed the price action analysis. If you have, please like and subscribe and share. Be a sharer. Join me tomorrow for Tuesdays. Take it easy, guys, ladies and gentlemen, anyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.